Cool. So we appreciate to see you. So in the future, as you guys do like what we call org meetings, trainings, I always found the best way to just always start it off with appreciation and acknowledgement. And so in that respect, I want to appreciate everybody for being here. I mean, it's a Saturday. Saturdays, especially if you have a job, you're working a 9 to 5, those are the days you look forward to because it's the day you get a break, you can spend with your family. Or if you're a busy bee, it's a day you can catch up on errands, chores, whatever it is. But instead of all that, you chose to be here with us, with Dr. Marlise and I, with Yvonne. So I really appreciate your guys' time. A lot of us are in this business because we want to make more money, but money's only important when you don't have it, right? When you don't have it, that's all you think about. But when you do have money, one of the things you're going to start realizing is what's more important than money is time. Because you can always make more money, but you can never get more time. So the fact that you're spending your time here with us, I find it more valuable than whatever amount of money you spent to be here with us, right? So definitely acknowledge and appreciate you guys for that. So today's training, I'll kind of tell you how I put it together. Normally I do slides and stuff, but after meeting Dr. Marlisa and Dr. Lin in the Philippines, I totally fell in love with both of them, right? Platonically, obviously. I love my wife. There's a video right there. It's on camera. But like very similar to many of you, like I believe community is important. People are very, very important. And so I for whatever reason, I felt compelled to I really want to help Dr. Lin hit team leader. I want to help get Dr. Marlisa to director because Dr. Marlisa has a lot of value, a lot of experience, and she has a lot of knowledge, and what she says does hold a lot of weight. And so I want to get her to a position, right, where she'll have more recognition. People will know her in the company, so that way she can start pushing and supporting us and making necessary changes, right? So selfishly too, for me, helping you do well also helps the company do well. So, and also because you guys actually come from a very similar culture that I came from. Regardless of traumatic experiences, in every traumatic experiences, why do we stay in environments that could be toxic? Because we justify it also because there were also good times. So there's a lot of good things that you learn too. So the last 2 days, day and a half, has been me really just getting to know you guys, talking to you guys, but also gathering information based on your experience to kind of tailor-made a training experience for you guys that I feel like is beneficial for you at this time. Because I want to make sure that whatever I train is relevant, is applicable, and usable right now. So today we're going to talk about a couple things. One is going to be a little bit of a reminder. It's kind of a basic training, right? It's mindset. I believe everything starts with mindset. Whatever your mind is set on, that's what it's going to attract. That's what it's going to pull. And then from there, I want to kind of talk more about structure in business, right? Because in business, network marketing is a business, regardless of what anybody says. And in a business, you need to know your numbers. You need to know your sales, where things are coming from, right? If you ignore the numbers will ignore you. If you love the numbers will love you. This is not a business that you can build simply on chance. It's a business you got to build on choice. And it's not a business that you build by default, right? What is default? It's whatever happens, let it come, right? Yes, you need to have a certain trust in God, right? I believe in God, so I talk about God a lot, right? You do have to believe God has a plan and everything's going to work out, but you also have to have a plan to work, right? While God is working in the background. So having a system is very important. So I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to break it down in a way where when you guys look at it, if you're ever stuck in your business, you just need to reference that. It'll tell you what you're lacking or what you need to improve on. And then the last piece is like a little extra bonus I'm going to share with you guys. Prior to me getting back into network marketing, I did a lot of consulting work. I'm a certified transformation trainer. I used to run seminars every weekend. Think Tony Robbins on a smaller scale. And the reason why I did that, because growing up with my autism, people that have autism, they find something that they hyper-focus on. And for me, it was understanding people. Most of my life, I felt like an alien, right, in a human body that didn't understand humans, and I was put here to understand. That's why I asked a lot of questions, a lot of clarity. Some of you guys probably experienced that. And so going to transformation taught me how people work, the psychology of people, patterns, habits, traumas, how to rewrite those stories, shifting perspectives, right? And so doing that, I did a lot of consulting work for 500 companies, and I'm going to share with you guys a simple formula on how you can win at anything. Now, obviously today we're going to tailor it to Riman, but you can tailor it to your health, you can tailor it to relationships, marriage. It's the same exact formula that you can apply to anything, right? It's, what is winning, right? How to win, why to win, when's the best time to start winning, right? And more importantly, who you need to be to win. So that's going to be the general consensus of today, okay? And at any point, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and ask. I like to be interactive too. The only thing I ask though about questions is when you raise your hand and ask a question, that the question is relevant to what we're currently talking about and not something else, okay? So you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is mindset. That's where everything starts off with, right? You might have heard me mention it yesterday. Some of you who have been in the industry have heard this many times, right? We all work for the same company, yes?
Yes.
We all market the same products, right? It's not like your Boo Say Boo is a different formula than my Boo Say Boo, right? Same formula. We all get paid on the same compensation plan, right? It's not like, I get paid on 10 levels of my unit level and you only get 6, right? We all get paid the same, right? And so at the end of the day, if the comp plan, the company, the product's the same, what do you think is the major factor on whether someone succeeds or not? What is the variable?
It's your own mindset.
It's you, right? Everything else is the same for all of us, right? It's you. And here's what I'm going to share with you. I've been in Riman long enough, in network marketing long enough to be able to tell you that there are people out there, I promise you, with less experience than you that are making more money. There are people with less resources. They lack more money. They lack time. They're having more success than you. So what does that mean? It's never a lack of resources. It's not a lack of resources, lack of resourcefulness, perspective, and positioning. So we're going to talk about that, okay? So again, mindset's important, right? You take a look at the word mindset. You can break it up into 2 words, mindset. Whatever your mind is set on is what you're going to attract, right? Your mind is set on opportunity, you're going to notice opportunities. If your mind is set on difficulties, guess what you're going to notice? All the difficulties, right? One of my favorite quotes is this. You don't always see your beliefs, but your beliefs always determine what you see. And I'm going to share with you something that might not be something you want to hear. Whatever results you're having in your business right now, okay, is not the business. It's a reflection of your beliefs about the business. So what does that mean? If you're not able to sign up a lot of people right now, right, it means that there's a lack in your belief about the opportunity, about the products, or maybe you as a leader to feel comfortable in signing them up. Does that make sense? Okay, we always get back what reflect to us, right? That's why if you notice, people that complain all the time, that are negative, that's like, man, why can't I catch a break? It's almost like when it rains, it pours, and it continues to happen. But then you have somebody else, right, where it's like they already seem blessed, life's already working for them, and they keep just getting better stuff, and like it's almost like luck has bestowed themselves on them, right? And it's just a matter of perspectives, mindset.
Real quick, can you just repeat your quote? Like, you don't always see your beliefs.
You don't always see your beliefs, but your beliefs always determine what you see, right? If you're single and you can, why are all the guys, why are all the men I'm dating, why are all men the same? You keep dating the same men because you have a story about men. And if you have a story about men, those are all the men you're going to notice, right? Chances are, if you're single, you want to find a great man, it's probably a man that you friend zone somewhere. That's probably your ideal person, right? That's just for all the guys in the room that did friend zone. Okay? There's very few of us, right? So everything starts with mindset. So let's talk about the first thing that's the most important is you got to determine your reason why. And we talked about that today, right? We had a little why circle earlier. Everything starts with your why. What is your why? Why is your vision, right? It's how you want your life to look like. It's how you want to experience life. That's more important than the money that we make, right? Sometimes when people get started, like, why do you want to do this? Like, I want a lot of money. Well, why do you want a lot of money? And you start to realize it's not the money itself that they want, it's the experience of life they're hoping to have if they had the money. And that's why it's so important, And I loved it earlier when we shared, because so many people moved to tears. There's a cliche, right? Let me tell you something. A lot of one-liners in network marketing are very cliche. But Tim Ferriss, right? He wrote this book, and he said that the secret to success is found in cliches. So anytime you hear a corny success quote, just know that there's truth to that. That's why it's a cliche, right? And the cliche is if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough. Because let me tell you something. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until it's time to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
This business is simple, but it's not easy. Anybody that tells you it's easy, they probably didn't mean it in the context that we're taking it. It's very simple by design, but it's complex by execution, right? There's a lot of variables in it. What does that mean? We're going to go through challenges. We're going to go through obstacles. If you never became successful in something like this before, it means it's new. Anything that's new is going to be uncomfortable, right? Now, how do you get confident at something? You have to be comfortable at it. Well, here's the ironic part. How do you get comfortable at something? You got to be willing to be uncomfortable with it, right? Like, for you, when you first started doing henna tattoos, were you really good in the very beginning?
No.
It was very uncomfortable, right? Were there times you wanted to quit?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
There were times that I compared myself to others.
Okay, fair enough, right? But it's something that you're passionate about. Like, I want to do it. And because you want to do it, you're passionate about it. Anytime you hit roadblocks or challenges, it just fueled you and you got better at it, right?
Yes.
And then now you probably do it with your eyes closed, right?
Yes.
And that's the natural process of things. This business is no different. But if you don't have a strong reason why, you're not going to be willing to go through the process. You're not going to be willing to go through the challenges. Does that make sense? And you are going to go through it. So the first thing is have a reason why. Now, obviously, with that being said, you also want to have short-term goals as well, right? So there's three types of things. There's your why, that's your vision, that's the end goal, the experience of how you want to live your life. Then you have the long-term, you have your short-term goals, and your short-term goals, what they're in place to do is to remind you and to validate that what you're doing is working. Your long-term goals just let you know you're on track to your why. Does that make sense? And so a lot of times when we get started, someone's like, man, I want to make $100,000 a month, a year. I want to be a six-figure earner, right? Especially if you've been network marketing before, like that's like kind of like the benchmark everybody shoots for. Six-figure earner, right? $10,000 a month. And again, if you haven't experienced that before, you haven't done it, it's exciting, but also you can't fathom or believe in your mind you can really do it. Because it's kind of like if I could have done it, I would have done it already. So what's important is along with your why, set short-term goals, right? And it's kind of like in fitness, you say in 90 days, I want to lose 30 pounds. 30 pounds, right? If you've never done it before, it can be exciting, but it can also be intimidating. If times get tough, challenges, you might quit. So what I recommend, your short-term goals are something like lose my first 3 pounds. Right? What sounds easier, losing 30 pounds in 90 days or losing your first 3 pounds?
First one.
3 pounds. And why? That's just to build your belief. Once you hit those 3 pounds, then what do? All right, can I lose another 3 pounds? Right? And then you naturally keep growing as you build your belief. And then now all of a sudden, 100,000 a year is not too far off for you. Because if you can believe that you can do it, right, in your mind, you can achieve it with your hand. Does that make sense? You can reach out and grab it. Okay? So once you have a why, okay, you know why you're doing it, you have your short-term goals, your long-term goals, the next thing is you need to make a decision. You see, Riman is not one of those, in this industry, this business is not one of those things where you can simply be in Riman. Riman has to be in you. You have to be a little bit crazy about it. You have to be a little bit obsessed about it, right? Obsessed is just a crazy word. It kind of has a bad rap, but it's usually thrown around by people that tend to be lazy and have given up, right? That's what they call people that are obsessed, right? And so you have to be a little bit obsessed about it. You can't be in this business. Business has to be in you. And one of the things my wife always tells people is like, in this business, you're going to have 2 start dates, right? The first start date is the day that you fill out the application, you go online, you get your planner ID. The second start date is the day that you say, you know what? This is it for me. Over, under, through, I'm going to make it happen. This is it. I'm going to be willing to learn. I'm going to make it happen. I'm not going to quit. And when you get to that point, things change. Things become magic. When you make a decision, a true decision, it's almost like the universe, life conspires to make it work for you. But getting to that point when you make the decision is the hard part, and that's a different route for everybody. I wish I could just reach into everybody, flip a switch, and you guys are fired up and excited, but that's something that we can't give you. We can give you the skills, the techniques, and the training, but it's up to you to bring the ambition, the drive, and the fire. Because that ambition, that drive, that fire, the why is what creates the urgency, okay? So once you make a decision, like, you know what, like this is something I'm gonna take seriously. Now, I'm not telling you to quit your job, quit everything, and go all in, okay? But what I am telling you is that make this a priority like you make everything else a priority. If you treat this like a hobby, it's gonna cost you like a hobby, right? Like, for example, I love cars. My mom used to tell me, getting into cars, isn't that a huge financial risk? I'm like, no, it's not. And my mom's like, how is it not a financial risk? And I said, because a financial risk implies that you can make money. I'm going to lose money, so it's not a risk, right? That's one little joke. But anyways, I'm not going to use that again. Moving forward, okay? Wrong audience, right?
I got it.
Okay.
It's your entertainment budget.
Yeah. But once you make it, right? But once you make a decision, the next thing that you have to understand is there's going to be a learning curve. And that's with anything. And you notice when you first get started, you're so excited, right? Your confidence far exceeds your ability. It's what we call unconscious incompetent. You don't know what you don't know, right? Think about the first time you got introduced to the industry, you saw the comp plan and everything, you're like, I'm gonna get started, I'm gonna get rich. I'm gonna talk to this person, they're all gonna get started, I'm gonna get ranked advanced, and I'm gonna buy this car, because you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And then you get to a point, right? The second stage of learning, which is what we call conscious incompetent. And that's when you get to the point in the business where you're like, I'm missing something. I need to learn how this business works. I don't know the comp plan, or I don't know how to present. I don't know how to launch. I don't know how to explain the products. It's where you start realizing that there's a gap in your confidence and your ability. And believe it or not, that's where most people quit. Because most people don't want to look foolish. They don't want to be bad at something. They don't want to be a beginner, right? But that's the best place to be, is to learn, to grow. Because think about it, right? When you make mistakes, it sucks. But why when you make the right decision feel so good? Is because you know what mistakes feel like. Okay, it's the duality that you need to experience, right? How do you truly appreciate someone that you marry and you love? Is because you know what a toxic relationship looks like. You know what it's like to be hurt, right? So that's why, like, be grateful for all the bad scenarios that happened to you. Like, for real. Because in those bad scenarios, what did you learn? You learned what you didn't want. But you know what's on the opposite of that? What you do want, right? So that's what gives you the discernment. So the second stage of learning, right, is, again, conscious and competent, right? It means you now are aware that you don't know. And then, so this is where you go into training. You do the personal development. You read the books. You get on the calls, right? You get around the mentorship, right? And again, you ask for help, okay? Don't wait for the help to come. You go ask for help. Dr. Marlisa, Dr. Lynn, myself, we're not mind readers. And when we ask you, hey, how are things going? Don't be like, fine, everything's good. We can't help you if we don't know. Does that make sense? Okay? And then so once you start learning, then you get to a stage called conscious competent. It means you know what to do, but it takes 100% focus, and you have to remind yourself, right? It hasn't become a habit yet. Okay? And the best way I explain it is like, do you guys remember learning how to drive a car? Right? First, unconscious competent. You look at it like, oh, I can drive a car. It looks pretty easy. Step on the gas, brake, you turn the wheel, the car goes where you point. And then you get into the car and you're learning how to do everything, and it's like unconscious. I'm like, oh my God, this is so scary, right? Some, especially if you're Asian, you're like, I don't know how to do this, right? And then what happens? You learn how to drive, and it's conscious competent. You're driving, you're like, okay, both hands on the wheel, you're going up. Okay, it's turning yellow. I should start braking. Oh, turn the signal on, right? And then the next stage, right, where you want to get to is what we call unconscious competent. It means you don't have to think about it. It's second nature, right? So this is where, like, now you are driving your car, you want to drive one hand, you're eating with the other hand, right? And then, you pick up your makeup, you do makeup with the other hand, and you're just driving. And so this business works the same way. So understand there's a learning curve. Now, how that looks like is in the very beginning, and this is true for any business. In the very beginning, you're going to put in a lot more work than you get paid for. Now, if you ever see someone get started and they have a lot of success really fast, it's not that they're better than you. It's either they were more excited than you and had a better attitude than you, or they paid their price somewhere else. And the price they paid somewhere else transferred over here. It's like they went to a different school, the credits transferred over. Does that make sense? So for example, maybe someone did real estate, right? That's where they paid the price. They learned how to speak, how to present, how to pitch, right? They built a big network. So when they get started at Riman, those skills just transfer and they blow up really fast. Or they were successful in another company, they have experience. So that's why you should also never compare yourself to anybody, because you don't know their journey, right? Comparison's the biggest thief of joy. And here's why I tell you, we're on our own timeline, right? When you finally make it, you're not gonna care about how long it took you to get there. You're just gonna be grateful you got there. Does that make sense? So at the very beginning, there's a lot more work than you're gonna put in that you get paid for. The average small business, right, doesn't make profit until like a couple years, if that. So if you already made money in Riman, guess what? You're already on a better track. Does that make sense? Let me tell you about my learning curve. My first 5 years, my average monthly income was $200 a month. In those companies, right, she'll tell you, right, we're in the same company at the same time, which is funny, right? The auto ship for me was $160. So every month, just to maintain and make the $200, I had to spend $160 every month. So 40 bucks, right? I don't even know how I survived and lived, right? You know what I mean? But that was how much money I was making for first 5 years, right? You know what how people looked at me? They just said, Julian's a guy that's always positive, always smiling. He always shows up, helps everybody, takes notes, sets everything up, right? That's how people know me as, right? Not the guy that's successful and everything. But 5 years in, right? I'll tell you the secret that I learned. It's not about what you do. What you do is important. How you do it's important. But you know what's even more important? It's the person you are and how you show up when you're doing those things. So the best way I can explain it is like this. Can you agree that we're all gonna have to invite people to see the business?
Yes.
We're all gonna present, right? Granted, different people have different slides, different scenarios, right? Present, close, and launch and do orientation. We're all doing the same thing. But again, why do some people have results and some people don't? Think of it like acting. You're like auditioning, right? You have multiple people auditioning for the same role, yes? And they're gonna be reading the same script, yes? So the same exact words. So what decides whether someone gets the part or not? It's the person that embodies the part. See, the challenge is some of you are doing the right things, but you're not showing up as that national director yet, as that person that's already confident, right? That posture I'm talking about, right? Like, for example, let's just imagine you're already a director, and let's just say you're making $25,000, $30,000 a month, and you show the business to somebody, and someone says no to you. Are you gonna react and feel the same way as you do right now when someone says no to you?
Probably not.
Right? Think about it. Right now, if someone says no to you, like, well, our products has a patent now in the United States, right? It's good for 20 years. It's like, listen, if they weren't going to do it before, you throwing that extra information is not going to sign them up. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, you have a patent for the next 20 years? Okay, I'll sign up now, right? It's like not going to happen that way, right? But if you're already a national director, you're showing someone the business. Now it's no longer, I'm doing it because I need you to join so I can get promoted, so I can make money. Yes, I'm going to help you too. Now it's just like, I know where I'm at. I know what I have. Either you see it or you don't. That's posture. Because think about it. If you show the business to somebody and they don't join, what happens to their life? Stays exactly the same, right? But if you show the opportunity to someone and they join, what possibilities do they have? What possibilities open up for them? They can make more money, have time freedom, more vacations, 6 Saturdays and a Sunday, right? So then who has the value? Them joining or you showing it to them? You're the one with value. You're giving them something that can change everything for them. That if they didn't have it, would stay the same. But a lot of us don't treat it that way. Does that make sense? So again, postures are important. You have to be that person before you get it, right? We're going to talk about it a little bit later, right? So again, it's not just about knowing the scripts, it's about being confident in the scripts. Because if you're showing up desperate, needy, right? Listen, I know a lot of you, you heard your whys. You need this business to work, right? You know, you see it as a way to get out. But don't bring that energy into it. Like, I need you to join because I need this to work because I need to take care of my family. It's more like, I know this opportunity is going to take care of my family. Are you going to be one of the people that help me do it or not? Help me get there or not? Here's the trade-off. If you're one of those people that's going to help me get it, I'm going to help you accomplish your goals too. Like, that's different, right? Right? So that's the kind of energy you have. So because the majority of this room is women, ladies, just think of it like dating. Remember when you went to the club, right? Guys will come up to you, right? And guess what? Guys will come up to you, and you're not begging them, right? You're vetting them if they're good enough for you. Isn't that true? Right? And then what does the guys do? With the moment you reject them, well, why not? And they start giving you their whole resume, like, well, I make this money, blah, blah, blah. Like, some of you are showing up like that guy in the business. Does that make sense? You need to be you at a club. Like, I'm tired of people talking to me. I'm just here to hang out with my girlfriend, trying to have a good time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the attitude you gotta have, okay? See, that one works, so I'm gonna use that one again next time, okay? Is this making sense though?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so again, you'll get to a point in the business where you get out of it what you put into it. And that's a magic place. But I'm gonna tell you ahead of time, the most dangerous place to be in this business, and it's gonna sound crazy, the most dangerous place to be in this business is $10,000 a month. Because for most people, that seems like such a lot of money. And again, this might sound arrogant what I'm about to tell you. If $10,000 a month sounds like a lot of money, or it sounds too good to be true, you just don't know how great life can be, right? So think bigger, right? And that's the most dangerous place for people to be at because they get comfortable. Like 10 grand a month, like think about it. If you made an extra 10 grand a month, like, oh man, there's this new movie with Keanu Reeves. I don't know if you guys seen it, where he plays an angel, the angel Gabriel. And I think Seth Rogen's in it, and then Aziz Ansari. But there's a clip that's so funny, right? And like this angel's talking to him, like, so Gabriel, what have you been up to? He goes, yeah, I was trying to teach this person that money won't solve all his problems, so I gave him a lot of money. And then the guy goes, so what happened? It turns out money solved most of his problems. But let me tell you, it's true. If you have any problem that can be solved with money, it's not a problem, it's just an expense. And remember the thing I said about mindset? Pay attention to your language too. Language is very important, right? What you speak about, you bring about. Okay? In magic, right, there's a word, in Arabic, there's a word called abracadabra, right? It's usually associated with magic. Abracadabra means to create my words. If you read the Bible, first there was the word. Now if you're like, I believe in the universe, law of attraction, think of that. Universe, one verse, right? It's what you speak. And so you gotta be careful with your language. Make sure, you know, they say the tongue can breathe life or it can kill it, right? And so it wasn't the right time earlier, but I'm gonna mention it now. Something that's like, when you guys are talking about something, like it's about rewiring your brain, never say I can't afford it. Because when you say I can't afford it, you cut off every other option. You're reinforcing that, okay? What you say instead is, it's not a priority for me right now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said
if you have a problem that can be solved with money, it's not
A
something-
problem is an expense.
It's not a problem. Can you kind of like explain that again?
Yeah, it means you just don't have enough money. You just gotta find the money you can pay it.
Okay.
Because there's other things that cannot be solved by money, and I think that's the real problem.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Anything that can be solved with money is just an expense. And going back to like, don't never say I can't afford it. Just say it's not a priority right now. Because think about it, we know a lot of broke people that have like luxury designer bags.
No.
That's because that was their priority. Their rent wasn't. You know what I mean? So when you say, because think about it, at the end of the day, if you really need the money, an emergency comes up, you would find the money.
Sure.
So just revise it. It's not a priority right now. And then all of a sudden, it just frees it up. You're saying you can have it if you really want it. You really could. Could rob a bank. You could do, there's so many different things you do, but it's still an option, right? So, and then eventually you get to a point where you get paid more than what you put into it. The question is, are you going to stay long enough to get there?
Hell yeah.
Okay? So avoid the emotional roller coaster. Don't let your lows get too lows. Don't let your highs get too highs. Even keel. Right? Walk into every room like God sent you in there, like you're meant to be there. That's the posture you need to have. Okay? And again, having a trust that everything's gonna work out. Because if you look at the patterns of your life, it's like seasons, right? But if you look at your life, I promise you, every situation that you've ever been through that at one point you felt was the worst moment of your life, and you didn't know how you can get out of it, and you thought it was the end of the world, what happened? Eventually, you stopped sulking. Eventually, you stopped being a victim, or you channeled that emotion, and what did you do? You solved it, and you got out of it. Do you know what that means in boxing? That means you have an undefeated record. It means you've overcome everything, every challenge and challenger that has come your way. So trust that, okay? Trust that, okay? The next thing that's important is you gotta be coachable. Being coachable is very, very important, right? And this is my posture too, because I work with doctors, I work with lawyers, I work with people in different fields. And like in the very beginning, it was like weird, right? Because I'm like, these people are already successful. And what Chris taught me, he goes, if they never, it doesn't matter how much money they made out of network marketing or how much success they had outside. If they never succeeded here, made money here, it means you're the expert. It means you know more than them. So have that posture to lead them. Does that make sense? And so that's why it's important to be coachable, right? Being coachable, listening to the mentorship. So if you've ever done it before, it'll save you a lot of time, right? It'll save you a lot of energy. More important, save you money, right? Because chances are your uplines have already gone through what you went through, and they can guide you out of it. Because sometimes when you're going through stuff, it feels like it's the end of the world, right? And then you talk to like Dr. Lin, you talk to Angel or whoever, and then all of a sudden they give you some coaching, like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. It wasn't so bad anymore, right? Or they laugh at you, like that's all you're dealing with, right? So understand that, like be coachable.
You guys.
I'm gonna be honest, I laugh at people all the time. Not always to their face. Sometimes they say, I'm like, dude, how lucky are you that this is the biggest problem you have, right? I don't say it out loud because it sounds so arrogant. Because it's like in their mind, they're like, what are you talking about? Like you're an asshole, right? It's like have bigger problems. And the other thing I'll throw out too, and this goes into mindset. The level of success that you're going to achieve is directly proportionate to the level of stress that you can handle. The biggest lie that we're told is success will solve your problems and make life easy. One of my favorite philosophers, his name is Christopher Wallace. Some of you probably know him as Notorious B.I.G. No, I'm just kidding, right? No, it wasn't even him. It was Mace. I totally quoted the wrong person, right? But Mace, he had to solve more money, more problems, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of truth to that because think about it, the more money you make, right? What are you doing? You're solving more problems. You're serving more people. So if you want more from life, you have to show life that you can handle the stress that you've been given. And when you show life that you can handle the stress that you've been given, life will give you more, but it'll also elevate you in between. Yes?
Repeat the quote that you said.
More money, more problems?
No.
The level of success is the level of distress
That you can handle.
The level of
success.
That you get,
The level of stress.
Oh.
you can handle.
Is proportionate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proportionate.
Think about it. Who do you think has more stress, a billionaire or a millionaire? Billionaire,
Millionaire.
right? No, well, it depends on who you ask, okay? If
I was like, you could.
if you ask certain people, yeah, but that's more money, right? He has to pay,
That's
more, he has to vet people, right? So it's like the higher you go up, the more you have to manage, right? So get comfortable with stress. It's a privilege to be overwhelmed with the opportunities that you once asked for.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? Think about it. Some of you wanted to be a parent, right? And you have kids, and now you complain that your kids are difficult. It's like, you asked for it, you signed up for it. That's part of the job, right? It's part of the process. So it's the same thing here. Like, get comfortable with stress, get comfortable with solving problems, because the person that solves most problems is the person that makes the most money. Does that make sense? Okay. The next thing that I want to share with you comes to mindset. SW, 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 SWN. And what that stands for is understand. Some people will, some people won't, some people wait. So what? Who's next? Okay, some of you, your challenges, the reason why you're not where you want to be at is because you care about people. Now, not telling you to stop caring about people. What I'm saying is, like, you're caring more about people, the same people that you want in the business so bad because you see their potential, that you keep talking to the same person. Okay? Talk to more people, talk to different people. That's gonna help a lot of you. Does that make sense? Because sometimes, like, I know it sounds sad, like, I'm gonna say it, right? Like, once I made it, one of the negative feedbacks I've gotten, right, from some of my old friends is they said, you switched up on your day ones. And I'm gonna share with you something. For 5 years, right, after when I quit network marketing, I tried my best to put them on game, to support them and help them. And I wanted them for so bad. I took them with me in everything I did, right? Extra coaching, extra mentorship, like almost begging them because I wanted to help them so bad. But what I didn't realize was all that, because energy is not finite, right? There's a really great book, right? Excuse my language. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. If you have not read that book, that is a book everybody should read, especially if you don't like personal development books because they're so philosophical and feel good. That book just breaks it down like so well in a language that's more modern day. And in that book, it says, we only have so many fucks to give. So make sure you give your fucks in areas that matter. How many of us give a fuck about things that shouldn't matter, right? Like someone cuts you off in traffic, little things. That's like that energy is better put somewhere else, right? But yeah, so he would just say, and so going back to that scenario, I got to a point where I was like, I cannot allow myself to not succeed because other people are choosing not to succeed. And sometimes elevation requires separation, right? You either change your friends or you change your friends. Does it make sense? Change your friends and help them become better, but they don't see it, they don't want it, then change your circle. Once I did that, and actually I won't get into that. That's a dangerous conversation, right? Who you date does matter too, but I won't go into that part, right? But once I changed my circle, that energy that I spent trying to save people went to working with people that wanted it, right? So many times we want to work with people that need it. But it's not about working with people that need it, it's about working with people that deserve it. And who deserves it? The people that shows up. The people that are coachable, the people that want it. Does that make sense? Not necessarily the people in the worst situations. Like, one of the mistakes I used to make, just to give you an idea, like outside the business and it relates, is that, let's just say someone's like, man, I just started designing websites and funnels. And then one of my friends is a millionaire, right? He's like, I want to take my business online, I want to create a funnel. I was like, oh, my friend just got started, he needs the money, right? And my friend over here, he needs a funnel, let me put them together. And then you know what happens? If it doesn't work out, whose reputation is ruined?
Yours.
So I no longer refer people because they need it. Now, like someone goes, man, I need to create a funnel. I'm like, who's the best person I know that creates funnel that has a proven track record? So now it improves the relationship. Does that make sense? And so once I create that separation, like I started doing very well. And some of them were like, man, you switched up. Like, I feel like you forgot about us. And like the hard reality for them is like, I didn't leave you behind. You chose to stay behind. And that's kind of like the hard part of it too. You know what I mean? Some people are going to have to not necessarily leave behind, but you have to leave them where they choose to stay at. And, but yeah. So understand, some will do the business, some won't, some wait. So what? Who's next? Okay? Something that I'm pretty sure you've heard a lot. Just because your best friend joins doesn't guarantee you're gonna get rich, right? Just because your best friend doesn't join doesn't mean you're not gonna get rich. Some of your biggest players are gonna come from people that you don't even know. And they're gonna come from the most randomest places. Okay? So just keep doing that. Honestly, just be a good person, do the right things, do what you're supposed to do, and over a long enough time period, things will work out for you. It's like playing a game of chess, right? If you have a piece on the scoreboard, you might not be in the best position, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't play the best move available for you. In your life, and it's not just network marketing, in your life, always make the best move available to you at the time. And if you do that, you always make the best decision in the moment, it will work out for you. Does that make sense? Okay. So any questions so far? Anything about what we covered, what we talked about? Okay. So that's about mindset. Okay. And again, that's just the mindset we have to have. And you just gotta, it's a contact sport. The more people you contact, more money you make, right? And the other thing is don't take no's personally. Okay, when someone says no, they're not saying no to who you are as a person. They're not saying no to your character. They're not saying no to your integrity. They're just saying no to the opportunity of the products. And it's okay for them to say no, right? Have you guys said no to things? Do you guys want to say yes to everything? No, right? So it's like, so just understand that. Just have the right. Your only job, your only responsibility is just to show it to people. It's up to them to decide. And then move forward. That's it. Okay, so that's everything about mindset. Okay. And again, be, do, have. You guys already have the right training system. Is just really reflect. Who do you need to be to do the things you need to do, to have the things you need to have? And so I'm gonna share with you how I came to that realization. My first 5 years, I didn't make any money, right? I remember I told you that, at $200. And then so 5 years in, my upline, I was in a bad place. I was working at a call center. It's the first time I like humbled myself, got a job, because I was like, network marketing, 100%. I worked at a call center, which is horrible. It was for Edison, the electric company, was even more horrible. I was getting yelled at every single day, and people were telling me like, why do I have to push one for English? It's America. It should automatically be in English. I'm like, well, sir, I totally understand, but I don't run this company. But yeah, working at a call center, right? But my upline says, hey, I have a lead in Houston, Texas. He wants to do the business. I just don't have time to go out there and work with them. I'm planning to move out there in a couple months. I'll get an apartment. You can stay there and pay rent, right? I'll give you your first month free, but I'll sign this person under you. You just work with them. 3 days before Christmas, I didn't tell my parents. My parents gave me an ultimatum. They say either you go back to school or you do network marketing, we kick you out. I did not tell them. I packed everything in my little Ford Taurus and I drove 1,500 miles to Houston, Texas from LA. Just to let you know how big Texas is, by the time you hit the border, you're only halfway to Houston. That's how big it is. And it was when I got there, right, here's where it changed. I realized something. I was like, nobody in Texas knows who I am. They don't know me as the autistic ADD kid, the kid that's always so positive, showing up, taking notes, and doing all this stuff. They don't know me as only as a supporting role. And he goes, how do people know me? Oh, there's this leader coming from California to help expand this market. That's all they know. And I started looking at, man, I got so blessed. I worked with some of the best, some of the most talented leaders of our generation in this industry, right? I got a chance to meet Mr. Tim Hurd for the first time. He taught me that, hey, someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. If you can have everything you want the way you are, you should already have it. If you want more, you gotta become more. So that's what made me fall in love with personal development. Then I worked with a guy named Daniel Song and taught me the importance of systems, being organized, structured. Because, having ADD, I was not very structured. I thought structure was limitation. He taught me structure creates freedom. The less time and energy you need to figure out where things need to go and what to do is more spent into actually doing it. Then I worked with a gentleman some of you guys know. His name is Duke Tupton. Duke Tupton taught me the importance of culture, right? How to create a culture, bring people together, right? Do things like that. Then I worked with a gentleman named Cliff who taught me like power of public speaking. And so when I was there in Texas, I was like, nobody knows who I am. If you're able to recognize greatness in leaders and what you like about them, you know what the good news is? It means you know what it looks like and you have it within you, right? If you spot it, you got it. Does that make sense? So when you have leaders that you look up to, you're able to recognize the greatness in them because you have it. You know what it looks like. So you know what I did? I made a list of all the qualities that made all these leaders great that I recognize, and I said, this is who I'm gonna be. And I committed to being that person. And you know what ended up happening? My first 6 months being in Houston, Texas, an area that I didn't know for one person, I signed up 1,000 people in a span of 6 months. I made my first $10,000 a month, first $20,000 a month, and then I went and worked with Tim and Chris in a company called Secret. I went over to make even more money, and so everything changed once I figured that out. It's who do you need to be? Who do you need to be? Okay. Now, the next thing I want to share with you is something called the 5 Ps. Okay, 5 or 4. I'm gonna read it out loud right now. Okay. The first P is very important, pipeline. Okay, so we're going to each one. The pipeline is the business, right? Once you understand the pipeline, you will know what's leaking, right? A pipe, right? Things go in, it's a funnel, right? If things don't come out the other side, what does that mean? There's a leak somewhere. So it'll help you identify the leak and also help you identify what you need to improve on and get good at. And if you understand the pipeline, you teach it to your team, you understand where your team needs to focus and where they need help on, okay? The next thing I'm going to share with you is posture. We talked a little bit about that, but the posture you need to have, okay? Then the next thing is position, right? Being in the right position, okay? It's 4, okay? And the fourth one is perspective. And that's where I'm gonna show you guys how to win at everything, okay? So the first thing I want to share with you is the pipeline. So imagine things work in a certain steps. Okay? At the end of the day, we have great products, we have great systems. You have doctors that are working with you, right? Dr. Marley, that's the most credible thing. Someone would be like, how do I know this product's good? Well, would you like to speak to a doctor who formulates products for other companies, right? Who's formulated products with other scientists that work with NASA? Is that credible enough for you, right? You don't say that, but think about it. That's the posture I have, right? If my broke friend says, how do I know those products are good? I'm not gonna like, well, because they have patents and they have like the juju lava water, and, the lion grass, right? And dump all this information. I'm not going to say all that. I'm going to keep my posture. I'm like, well, I work with a lot of doctors who formulate products, and this is their expertise, and they're in the field of this company, not just a formulator. Like, that's the kind of posture I have, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so how the pipeline works, where everything starts, right? So you can have the best support system, the best tools, right? The best PowerPoints. You're like, oh man, I just designed the best sticker label for my experience kits that people will scan, and you can, right? All that is great and helpful. But let me share with you something. None of that matters if prospects aren't seeing the business or the product. And that's the scariest part, is presenting the product, presenting, the company. You can love it. You can have a big vision, big why, but none of that's going to come if you don't talk to people. Sometimes when I talk to people like, hey, how's your business going? Like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. How many people did you talk to last week? And they go, well, last week, I got on the Zooms, I went on Tim Hurst training, I went a monthly rundown, and, I organized all my products, I got this new cake. I'm like, so you didn't talk to anybody, right? No, right? You have to talk to people. You have to talk to people, okay? So you need prospects. So how the pipeline starts first is what we call the invite or the peak, right? P-I-Q-U-E, piquing their interest, right? So inviting them or piquing their interest, that's the first part. Okay, so I'm gonna break down the pipeline. I'll explain each one, right? So invite, peak, that's the first part of the pipeline. The second part of the pipeline is presentation. Okay, showing them the business, getting them on a Zoom, or doing a product demo, right? It's presenting something, whether it's the products or the business or a combination of both. It could be Zooms, in person, right? Just showing them the information. Third, right, is what I call the close. Okay, closing them into the business, right? In the close, you can put a little slash or three-way, right? So if they're not ready to join yet at that time, you get them on a 3 call with an upline expert, right? Someone that's a little more credible than you, someone that's a little higher in the company, someone that they don't know. And the reason why that is something called the edification triangle, okay? So what that means is when it comes to your friends and family, just imagine a triangle, right? You, your upline, and your prospect, right? When it's you and your prospect, they trust you. They have a relationship. You built rapport. A lot of times people are just going to see the information products because they trust you and it's for you, not even for them, for you. But the challenge of that is your friends also know you. So even though there's trust there, there's not that same level of respect. Does that make sense? Your friend remembers when you got drunk and ran into a sliding glass door, right? And you're like, we're going to get rich. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're going to get rich, right? And sometimes we lead like that, right? So leverage somebody else. So anyway, so what happens is you edify the upline. There's somebody I want you to meet. There's somebody that's doing really well in the company. So what are you doing? You're building their respect towards them. So now they'll get on a call because they trust you, but they'll listen to the other person because they respect them. That's the edification triangle, okay? So they're that. So 3-way / close. And then the next step after that is the orientation, right? Orientation / onboarding, right? We personally just use the company orientation, but I mean, everybody has different systems and stuff like that. So whatever you guys run, plug into that. But make sure you guys have a system of onboarding people. And what onboarding is very, very simple. Is identifying what their short-term goals are, long-term goals are, what their why is. It's helping them understand where all the resources are, like the websites. And it's also managing their expectations and letting them know what the next step is, which is manager, senior manager, or vice versa. That's one reason why we like the orientation, because it's kind of like that. The onboarding angel, it's like launching someone out. You know how they used to have the launch sheets,
Yeah.
the launch books, right? I love those. I miss those, right?
I still have them if you want.
Yes. Can I get them before we leave? Is that possible? Can you take pictures at some point and send it to me? Okay. I want to create something like that. I do want to bring that back, but that's neither here nor there. And so orientation, manage expectations. The next step of the pipeline is getting them to manager. Okay. And then obviously continue filling the pipeline. Okay. So this is how it works. So this is how you know where you need work on and what you need to improve on. Number one, if your business is not growing, it's because you're not showing it to enough people. That's always the answer. Okay? The answer is always to build a new team and talk to new people. Someone goes, my team's not listening to me. What should I do? Build a new team. Why? Because when you build a new team, it's going to be refreshing because people are coachable to you. They're listening to you, right? Because when you're trying to beat a dead horse and being difficult, that drains you. To building a new team, it reminds you, oh, maybe it's them, not you. And it reminds them, right, what you can do. And the moment you show results to the new team, they're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to be coachable now. And even if they're not ready to be coachable, you don't even care because you have a new team to work with. So it's always new people, new people, new people. Okay? So you invite them. Now, if you talk to a lot of people and you're inviting a lot of people, but people don't show up to the presentation, what does that mean you need to improve on?
Posture.
Your invite, right? But posture, yes. Posture affects your invite, right? So again, if you don't have enough people coming to a presentation, it means your invite's not strong. So you need to invite more people. Now, if you're inviting people and they show up and you're presenting to them, but they're not signing up, what does that mean? What do you need to improve on? Your close. Either the presentation or the close needs to be improved on. Does that make sense? Now check this out. You get people to show up, you present to them and you close them, they actually sign up, but your business isn't growing fast. What does that mean? Your problem is not it's not the closing, it's not the presentation, it's just not running through the numbers fast enough. It means your closing ratio is actually really high. I have one of our team leaders, he would beat himself up, right? When he like on his way to team leader, he's like, man, like my team's not growing, like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I was like, okay, let's break down the numbers. Like, how many people have you gotten to actually see the business? And he's like, he starts counting every person. He goes, I got 14 people that actually show up to a presentation. I'm like, cool. Out of the 14 people that show up, like how many got started? He goes, 10. I'm like, bro, 10 out of 14, like that's a high percentage. It just means you don't have enough people seeing it. So if you have more people, let's say you have, you talk to 14, you get 10. I told him, look, you get 28 people to see it, you're gonna sign up 20 people. It's all about working the numbers. Does that make sense? Okay, so figuring that out, right? And for some of you, hey, if you invite, you gotta know your ratio, right? Some people, if you invite like 100 people, only 50 people are gonna show up, right? Out of 50 people that show up, only 25 is gonna get started. Everybody has a different ratio. But if you know what that number is and you're tracking it, you can create predictable results every single time, right? That's how I know it doesn't matter about skill. You can always outwork somebody else. Just because someone is more talented than you is never an excuse for them to outwork you. And one thing you're also going to notice, usually the people at the top are not the best. And the people that are the best are usually not the people at the top. The people at the top are the people that are willing to outwork everybody else. And, simple as that. So invite, present, close, right? So we talked about that. And then the onboarding. So if people are not becoming managers or they're not personally inviting into right? The presentation, they're not creating the funnel, that means your onboarding is not effective. It means they don't see the vision, they don't have to believe, right? And that's what you need to work on with them. Does that make sense? So that's kind of how the pipeline works, okay? And when you, like I said, when you look at it, you can create predictable results, you'll know what you need to work on. And again, for some of you, if you're inviting a lot of people and they're not showing up, it means you need to improve your invite. One of the easiest ways to improve your invite is to make sure that you have a tie down and you set it in stone, right? And also, you got to sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? It's very important. Edification is very important. So if I were to invite someone to go meet with Dr. Marlisa or go on a Zoom with her, what I would say, it's not like, oh, can you make the Zoom? You good? Okay, awesome, right? It's like, hey, if I set this call up for you, right? Dr. Marlisa, it's in her name. She's a doctor. She's very, very successful. She's a very important person. And she's someone I highly respect. Her time is very valuable. If I book this for you, can I definitely count on you to make it? Because if you flake on me, it's gonna make me look really bad, and I don't wanna hurt my relationship with her. Do you see how just me saying that, how do you think they're gonna listen to Dr. Marlisa when they got on Zoom with her? They're gonna take her more seriously, yes? Mm-hmm. Right? And two, it's also gonna let me know how good of a friend they are. Because after I say that and they still flake, it's probably not somebody you want in your corner. Mm-hmm. After you said all that. But it also, what I do, I just increase the importance of Dr. Marlisa, and I just increase the importance of what they're about to see. And when you do that, they'll take it more seriously. Because I think some of you, maybe your invite's a little too casual, right? And you leave it open-ended. Hey, we're having a free facial party. If you can make it, just come. Can you come? Yeah, I think so. And then you're like, yes, I got one. This person's going to come for sure. You get what I'm saying? Or saying, hey, we're doing this really fun facial. Here's a simple change inside out. It's free facial party. I don't know how you guys invite, right? But hey, seats are very limited. We have some very important people who are coming, so a lot of people are excited. You're one of my good friends. I want to make sure you get a seat. So if you're telling me you're going to come, I definitely count on you to be there. Because if you flake, one, it's going to make me look bad. but it's also going to rob the opportunity from somebody else. You see that? Just doing that alone. And usually at that point, if they're busy or they know something's going to come up, if they're a good friend, they'll be honest with you and they'll be like, oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, I might be busy. Like, I don't want to commit to something. And when they say that, don't feel bad. Don't feel sad, right? That's actually the second best answer they can give you. The best answer is a yes. Second best answer is a no. Do you want to know why?
Not yet.
Because there's no ambiguity, right? There's no like, I'll think about it. I'll let you know. Guys, when you're asked a girl on a date, she says, I'll think about it. That's a no. Does that make sense? It's a polite way of saying no, right? But sometimes people, like, because they don't want to hurt your feelings, they give you kind of like a bullshit answer to kind of like, you know, ease the pain. So when someone tells you no directly, that's like, I thank people when they tell me no. Because I'm like, cool, now I know where we stand. I can move forward. I'm not just sitting there waiting, right? Do you guys watch How I Met Your Mother?
Sometimes.
You guys when they're dating, when you keep somebody on the hook, you're like, I don't see us dating right now, right? You know, they're like, oh, so in the future it's possible? Like, and then you keep them on the hook, you know? So it's like, don't do that, okay? So for an invite, doing the tie down, I think will be very, very effective. And also don't be afraid to show people to the business and what that means. And also available for you guys. When you guys do your spa parties, people that are interested in the business, right? You say, hey, you know, if you guys are interested in actually learning how to promote, make money like we are, just sharing these products, let us know. And from there, I'm more than happy if you give me 24 hours in advance to do a Zoom for them. And I can do the presentation for them. You know, even if you have prospects that want to see the business, I can help you do Zooms too. You know, that's not a problem, okay? As long as you let me know 24 hours in advance, I can tell you my availability and make it happen. If you tell me the day of, it's 50-50, and don't be mad at me. Sometimes people get mad, like, what do you mean you're not gonna, like, you know, like, I have a
There's
schedule
other
too.
people on the planet.
Exactly. So people are like, no, you need to make time for me. I'm like, bro. Okay. So that's what I noticed a little bit with some of the invites. I think it's like that. I think some of you guys are invited. You're doing fun, doing great, but I think also putting an emphasis on like counting on them to be there, and also like, hey, like other people trying to reserve spots, seating is limited, right? So again, using those budgets, hey, you know, spots are limited. Think about it. When you're going to, you want to make it exclusive, right? Yeah, that's another one that was in the book, right? Make it exclusive, right? Why is making it exclusive important? Do you want to go to the club where everybody can get in, or do you want to go to the club where there's a line outside and VIPs just get to go in, right? That's how you want to make people feel like, hey, like, you know, this is a club that everybody's trying to get into, but hey, if you're down to go, I know the doorman, I'll get you in. Like, you're doing them a favor. Does that make sense? You're hooking them up. That's how we get a lot of good prospects. Anytime we go somewhere and someone gives us a good service, we go back and give them an experience kit. Like, it's not meant to be a flex, okay? But like a couple of days ago, we bought a new car. And so we went into the dealership, we bought an S-Class. And with the S-Class, the lady was so good to us, so nice. I'm like, she's like, what do you do? Like, because we pulled up in her Porsche and I'm buying an S-Class. And they're like, what do you guys do? Because you guys look so young. I was like, well, no, one, I'm not that young. I'm 38 years old, right? And I go, I just have really great Korean skincare products. And she goes, oh my God, I love Korean skincare. And I was like, yeah, that's actually what we do. Like, we actually, like, you know, and it depends on the person. It depends on the people, right? But with her specifically, I was just straight up. I go, I recruit and train sales distributors for our company. I help bridge like ambassadors and influencers to the company, introduce customers to the company. But since you did such a great job helping us out, like, I'd love to hook you up with some products. And they're like, oh my God, yeah. And then I came back and then we gave the experience kit. But notice how we framed it. It wasn't like, oh, would you like to try our products, our business? Like, hey, you guys hooked us up, you know, we're so grateful. We're gonna give you this experience kit on us, you know, blah, blah, blah. So now notice it's not just, here, try it, let me know how you like it. It's like, there's more value. You gotta create the value. Does that make sense? Don't sell, like, why do people buy skincare? Yes, they justify it because it's clean, it's gentle, right? You know, there's no hormone disruptors or whatever it is, right? Like, that's how they justify it, that's what they're looking for, but that's not why they buy it. Because if that was true, then why do people get Botox? Why do people get facelifts? It's not the actual procedure of the products, it's the experience they hope to get from the products, right? So that's what you gotta sell, the experience, right? You gotta sell the experience. Right? Talk about the destination, not the vehicle. Like if we're going to Disneyland, like what would you rather talk about? Oh, hey, we're gonna drive my car to Disneyland. It's gonna be about 45 minutes from my house. We gotta leave a little bit earlier, right? We gotta pay for parking. Hopefully, you know, it's a Wednesday. It's gonna be a little bit packed. My AC hasn't been working lately, so it's gonna be a little bit hot. She's like, already like, no, right?
I'm like,
Like,
you're gonna have to ride in the trunk, and we might have to sedate you.
right? Would you rather hear about that? Like, hey, we're gonna have so much fun at Disneyland. Like, imagine when you get there, we're gonna go on the Matterhorn, right? And they just have the they just redid Tomorrowland, and that they have like, because I don't know, just talk about the rides, the experience. Like that's what you want to sell. And so remember that, right? Especially when you're doing spa parties, you're doing business presentations. Yes, we talk about the facts, the numbers. Yes, we talk about the patents, all that stuff. But that stuff's not as important. It is important because that's how they logically justify buying something or doing something. But remember, people don't buy on logic, they buy on emotion. And what is emotion, right? This might sound bad, but I'm just gonna share it with you. Some of the best ways to market is less to men, right? Vanity and beauty to women, longevity to the elderly, right? And fun and freedom for young people. Like that's just human psychology. And so when you understand what people are looking for, what they want, you tailor presentation to them. And that's why, Amber did such a great job. She didn't directly say this, but when she was talking to you guys yesterday, essentially what she was saying is ask good questions to lead them, and also ask good questions to find out what they're looking for, so you can show them how Riman's a good fit for them. Does that make sense? Notice we're vetting, right? We're vetting people now. We're not marketing, we're vetting people. And when you come from that place, it's a totally different place. Imagine like you're not the person going in for the interview, you're the person doing the interview. Different posture, right? So at least the second one, it was just posture. Okay? So understand you are the one with value. You are the one that has something that can change their life. If they say no, the good news is their life stays exactly the same. They lose nothing. But if they say yes, they have a possibility to gain a whole future that they didn't know that was available for them. Does that make sense? So you have the value. Right? Some of you, how you do the business, it's like this. Imagine if I sent you guys on a task, right? I said, this half of the room, right? I'm gonna give you a stack of $100 bills, and your job is to go out there in downtown, maybe not downtown San Francisco, that sounds dangerous, right? A heavily populated, safe area of San Francisco, and go, you guys are gonna pass out $100 bills. Every person that walks by you want a $100 bill? You want a $100 bill, okay? You guys, okay? You guys are gonna be 2 blocks down, okay? And your guys' job is to get as many $100 bills from people as possible. How would you feel?
Intimidated at first.
Intimidated, right? You were like, oh, you have to ask people for money. You don't feel good, right? Because you're asking something of somebody. And that's why some of you are scared to sell, because you're like, well, these are my friends. I'm asking them for money to buy the product. No, you're offering them a better quality product than everything they've ever used. Not, I'm asking them to buy the product. You get what I'm saying? It's a difference in posture. So for you guys, you have a tough job. Now you guys will have an easier job because you're passing out money. You're handing out value. You're giving something to somebody versus you guys are asking something to somebody. Does that make sense? You guys see the difference? So that's the posture you need to have. But you know what's crazy about your scenario? You're handing out a $100 bill, right? Did you know some people are like, where'd you get that money from? Why are you passing out $100 bills? How do I know this is even real?
What's the catch?
What's the catch? Now, when people start saying that to you, are you gonna be like, no, it's a real $100 bill. Like, we went to the U.S. bank right here, and like, we cashed out this. Like, look, I even brought a marker. If you scan, like, look. Would you do that?
No.
No, you'd be like, weirdo. All right, you want $100? That's how you gotta be with the business. Because some of you, when someone says no, you're like, no, but we have this patent, we have this. Like, let me show you more before. Let me tell you something, okay? If you already showed them the before and after pictures and stuff, they're not sold. More before and after pictures is not. They're not gonna be like, well, I wasn't sold in this one I'm in, okay? So usually when people get started in something, they have to say, I like the product, I like the company, and more important, I like you. If those 3 things are in place, the chance of them getting started and getting involved is very, very high. Now, how do you do that, right? You gotta be enthusiastic. All right, as far as mindset, posture, you gotta be enthusiastic as hell. Number 2, you have to be sharp as a tack. And that's not necessarily how you dress, how you carry yourself, okay? In the very beginning, you don't need to know everything because you're leveraging your uplines. But you do need to learn how this business works. You do need to learn how to explain it, okay? Because people are also looking for people that are competent. People wanna work with people that are competent. Does that make sense? And I don't know how this is gonna sound, but I'm just gonna say it because it's the truth, right? Some of you, like, we all want a Dr. Marlisa in our team, yes? But let me share with you something. Some of you, where you're at, because of your attitude, how you view yourself, how you carry yourself, you would not be able to recruit a Dr. Marlisa at this point, okay? It's kind of like if you want to recruit somebody, you're only gonna get people at the same level as you or lower. Does that make sense? And if that's higher, they're like, well, what do you have to offer, right? And that's why like learning this business is very important. Because the more competent you become, people want to follow people that are an expert. Does that make sense? Now that doesn't mean you being an expert and being an elitist is two different things. Okay, so I want to keep that in mind. Okay, so again, that's what people are looking for. So that's about posture. Posture. Like, do you think I don't get no's? I still get no's. Like, it's so messed up. In the beginning when I joined Riman, people were like, bro, you're getting back into network marketing, you're selling skincare, that's not sexy, guys can't do skincare. And I started making it happen. Like, now they're like, bro, it's too late, I missed the boat, it's because it's you, like you can make, I'm like, it doesn't change, right? In fact, the only reason why I'm where I'm at is I got way more no's than you. Here's another thing. The reason why Dr. Marlise is where she's at is she's gone through more challenges and issues with the company than you have, right? It's called growing pains, right? If you're experiencing growing pains, that's when you know what the good news is? It means you're growing, right? If you don't have growing pains, what does that mean? You're not growing, okay? So have that posture, it's like part of the process. You know what I mean? And again, the posture is like this. Imagine we're at a restaurant, and waiter, they go, do you want a refill on water? Do you want more water? Do you want more water? Right? Imagine like, waiter comes up to us and like, hey, would you want more water? I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, what? You don't want any water? Why not? They start crying, like, please, take some water. And we're like, whatever, next, right? Same thing. Like, that's the kind of posture you have, right? And when you go to, like, McDonald's, right, when you're done ordering and paying, what do they say? How would you like to pay? Cash or card, right? It's simple as that. Like, are you sure you want to pay? Are you sure this is what you want? Like, that's how some of your posture is. And I understand, because some of you have been through traumatic experiences. You don't want to be pushy. You don't want to sell. Like, let me tell you something. Everybody loves to buy, but they hate to be sold. Yes. But just have that posture knowing you have something of value, right? You're offering them great products and opportunity. If they say no, it's okay. That's on them. They weren't the ones you're looking for. Revisit them later. Does that make sense? Okay? Rejection's a part of the game. And here's the ironic part. The more you try to avoid rejection and rebuttals and all that stuff, the more you're going to get. The more you're going to get. But the more prepared you are for rejections, the more prepared for rebuttals, guess what? The less you're going to get. I remember when I first got started with objections, like, what if they ask me if it's a pyramid? I'm like, and then people ask me, right? Then I'm like, all right, how do I answer it? Now I'm ready. I'm like, I can't wait for someone to ask me if it's a pyramid. And then nobody asks me anymore. Like, really, like, I was very surprised that some of you guys still get that. Like, I have not gotten that in, like, God knows how long. But that's because my mindset's different. Where I'm at is different. And, how I promote it is different. Does that make sense? But that's just maybe your mindset. Like, when I was fighting, I got beat up, and my coach was like, stop being scared of getting hit. Stop avoiding getting hit. You have to accept getting hit is a part of the game. It's not about avoiding getting hit. It's learning how to respond when you get hit, and how to react when you get hit. Now, when you're prepared and you know how to respond, what happens? You have a certain confidence to you, a certain posture. And what ends up happening is you get hit less, right? Same concept, okay? So again, posture is very important. You need to imagine yourself as your highest self now and step into that now and be that now. You don't need the results, right? And again, here's what I'm sharing, right? Aristotle said it best. We are what we repeatedly do. So if you want to be your highest self, what does that mean? Take the actions with the attitude and confidence as if you were already your highest self, your most successful self. And guess what? Operating from there, even though your results don't happen overnight, you now change the trajectory of where you're headed. Does that make sense? Now you're collecting the evidence, right? Quantum physics is great. Quantum physics teaches us that something doesn't appear, right, until the observer is looking for it. Does that make sense? Until it's observed, right? So there's quantum transformation. Traditional personal development and transformation is very incremental. I need to do this to slowly build my confidence, and finally I'm there. Quantum physics says what's stopping you from believing you're already that person and taking those actions and getting that. It's like that quantum leap. Does that make sense? If you notice, all your successes happens like this. I don't know if I can do it. Okay, don't quit. Oh shit, it's kind of working. Oh, I think I can do it. It's so close, it's mine. In that moment, it happens so fast. But what if you could skip all that bullshit and just start from that belief like it's already mine? It's just a matter of time. Just do the right thing. Does that make sense? And it'll come. I know that sounds like a little esoteric, right? And I'll go more detail about that some other time, but just trust me on that. Like, it'll happen faster, okay? So that's posture, okay? Now, what is position? Position is knowing where somebody is, in the process. Does that make sense? So if you haven't piqued someone's interest yet, you can't share them the information. Does that make sense? Sometimes we talk to somebody, but their interest hasn't been piqued, and we automatically try to get them on a Zoom, or we try to get them in front of the information. They're not receptive. Does that make sense? Or you pique someone's interest, but you haven't presented them yet, and you try to close them over the phone. Right? Like, oh, I'm interested in Korean skincare. Well, let me send you this link so you can look at the website and just purchase whatever you like. You have to know where they are in the process. That makes sense, and respect where they are in the process. Because the moment you try to rush the process, that's where things get messed up, right? It's like you get so excited because someone shows interest. Don't there's a lot of ladies in this room, right? So guys, like, you're probably on the other end. But have you ever? I'm pretty sure you had this experience where like you're just nice to some guy, and because he's not used to women being nice to him, he automatically thinks that you're in love with him, right? And then you're like, oh, this is weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, just let me kiss you. No, what? Where'd you get that idea from? We're friends, right? That's how some of you are with the business. Someone shows someone interest, and it's like, how do you want to feed ducks at a pond? You had a loaf of bread, and you give them a little piece. You speak their interest, they get a little bit closer, and you give them another piece, and then, right? Some of you like take a whole loaf of bread and just chuck it at the duck, and like, why is it running away? Okay, just respect the process. Don't rush it. I think sometimes our anxiety and depression comes from trying to rush the process and getting things faster than where we're at. Does that make sense? So it takes a certain level of urgency, but also patience. Okay, so that's about position. You guys understand that as far as the chart? Now the perspective. Okay, and we're almost done. So this is how to win at anything. You can apply the same formula, and like just to kind of give you an idea, I applied this to my network marketing business. Has always worked, right? I used to be 210 pounds. I was overweight, right? And obviously I'm not 210 pounds anymore. I used to not be physically fit or be able to play sports. I was always picked last, and then I became a celebrity fitness influencer, and then did stuff with Lululemon, Aloe, and all that, right? I applied the same principles, okay? And I'm gonna share with you. You can apply to anything. You want to win at marriage. You want to win at your fitness, your health. You want to win at business. It applies to everything, okay? So what we're going to talk about is how to win at everything. This is the topic. I'm going to share with you what winning is. We're going to define a new perspective of what winning is, okay? I'm going to share with you how to win, okay? I'm going to share with you why you need to win, when to win, and more importantly, who you need to be to win, okay? So let's start with what, right? There's a lot of definitions of winning. Can we agree? Right? So I'm going to share with you my perspective, my story that drives me. And if you adopt it, hopefully it'll give you another perspective, okay? So how I define winning is impressing the only person that matters, okay? And who that person is not your husband, it's not your wife, it's not your kids, it's the future you. Does that make sense? You want to make right? So what is winning, right? Winning is like 8-year-old you watching you, being proud of who they are. Right? Winning is 80-year-old you looking back at you right now saying, I'm proud of the decisions I made at that moment. How many of you ever look back and you're like, man, when I was 21, I was an idiot. I was dumb. I can't believe I did that, right? So what is winning? It's impressing that future you, that when they're looking back at you now, right? Tiffany at 45, about to be 45 next week, right? When 80-year-old Tiffany looks at 45-year-old Tiffany, she's like, hell yeah, I'm proud of that girl. I'm proud of the decisions she made. Like that was the moment that turned everything around. Like, that's how we got a posture and how we need to live. It's impressing that person. Does that make sense? So that's what winning is. And the reason why I define that is because at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, love and death are two things we should never chase because they'll always end up finding us at the right time, right? Mm-hmm. So death is something we can't avoid. It's going to happen. Okay, we have no control over that. But what we do have control over is that dash in between, right? We have a birth date and then we have the day we die. Right? Both dates are important, but the dates that matter most is that dash. What we do in that dash is what's going to determine the quality of our life. And you want to live that dash in such a way that the past you, when they look back, they're like, I'm proud of the life I lived. Because at the end of the day, we're going to have regrets. You can't avoid having regrets. But I think the biggest question we're going to ask ourselves on our deathbed is, did I play? Did I go all out? Did I utilize the time I have on this earth? And let me share with you, you don't have a lot of time. Now, we hear life is short, right? You all heard that? Did you know mathematically you can actually prove how short life is, right? Some Asian probably figured it out somewhere, right? But I'll share with you, it's very simple, right? How many days are there in a year?
365.
365, right? Now, let's just, I said that in my head. I know some of you probably said it too, right? 365. Now, if you're lucky enough to live to 100, right? Let's say you're lucky enough to live to 100. Did you know that's only 36,500 days that you would have spent on this earth? Think about how small that number is. 36,500 days. That's if you live to 100. Now, if you live to, by the time you turn 18, right? By the time you live 18, you haven't even lived your life yet. You're living your parents' life, your school's life, expectations of friends, all these different, dogmas that was put on you. At 18 years old, you've already lived over 6,700 days. Now, if you go the traditional route of working till you're 65 and retire, that's an additional 17,000 days, right? Which means, after that, to enjoy your golden years, average life expectancy right now is like 77. Think about how short that is that most people are going to live their life, to enjoy their life. Very low. Okay? So I share that with you because life is short. It's the shortest, longest thing you'll ever do. Stop wasting your energy on regrets, resentment, the past, right? Because we don't have time for that. We got to put that energy in creating the future, which is basically what we do now. Does that make sense? Okay? Yes.
Can I share a quote with you?
Yeah.
That sometimes I think about too. It's the faster you get to your higher self or the person that you want to be, the longer you get to enjoy that life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's like
That's
you spend
great.
so much time to try to get there, but it's like once you're there, the longer you get to enjoy it. It's the day you die.
So like, it's a sad story, right? We're part of a Porsche club, and then I saw somebody posted this post, right? And it's about this old man that was like very frugal, saved all his money, right? Worked really, really hard, and then when he retired, he decided it was time to buy his dream car, and he bought his Porsche 911, right? He's so excited, and then because he was just saving his money, he bought the car, and he died 3 months later, and it's just like he could have got the car a lot sooner if he wanted to and enjoy it a lot longer. So to your point, right? Don't delay your blessings, right? Get this. Let me tell you something. Network marketing is great. And again, some of you who were in this when you were young, they sold you that this is everything. It's not everything. I love Riman, but you know what's great? I have a lot more than I show on Instagram. Like that's just marketing, but like making money is the hard part. Multiplying it is easy because once you have money, you put certain things in high yield savings accounts. It's, if you have enough money, they'll already generate your annual income that you can live off of, right? Yvonne and I actually have no money saved. We're not liquid, right? Money that we have, we spend it on bills, everything, and then we put into investment things that'll make us more money, right? We have property that we rent out, all these different things. And so that's like, life is fun. Does that make sense? But you have to get there. And when you get there, there's more to enjoy. So stop delaying life. Does that make sense? Okay? So yes.
Oh, sorry. Just wanted to also add as well. A lot of you guys shared in your whys, you're doing the business for your kids, your family, your parents as well. So something I noticed when you were going over like the life expectancy and like the age and stuff, not only are you getting older, the people around you, yeah, you just celebrated a birthday, so did your parents, like if they're still here with us, so it's not just you. So what are you waiting for? Like how much longer do other people gotta prove to you that you're worth it, that you can make it happen? Like if you guys don't believe in yourself now, then borrow like my belief in you, borrow Julian's, borrow Dr. Melissa's, borrow Lynn's belief in you and run with that. Because really like, on a personal note, like I lost my dad unexpectedly 5 years ago. And so like, he's the person when y'all talk about your whys, like he's the person why I started here. But, unfortunately I wasn't able to give back to him in the ways that I would have liked to. However, like I know that who I'm being and how I live my life and what the legacy I'm going to create and leave behind as well will honor him in ways that money can't even. So I'm just going to share that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a good point. Like, how many of you are doing this because you want to retire your parents or you want to take care of your parents? Okay. How many of you have parents that live far away from you?
An hour and a half, does that count?
I know. Right?
Like,
In Thailand, for my dad.
Okay. So Thailand, it's an hour and a half.
yeah.
Same.
What were you gonna say?
My dad lives in China.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna use you. Okay? It will apply to everybody, but I'll use you. Okay. How old is your dad right now?
77?
77. Okay. This might be a tough question I'm about to ask, but if you were to give a number, right? Like, how many more years do you think your dad has?
Hopefully to 100.
So let's just say 30, 100
Yeah,
years, right?
yeah.
30 years, right? Now let me ask you a question. How often do you see your dad? A year, would you say?
He comes half a year, so he spends half a year here, half a year.
So like, okay. So like half a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of times people say, oh, I have 30 years with my dad. You don't have 30 years with your dad. You have half a year, 30 times with your dad. Does that make sense? A lot less. And for some of you, you might not see your family as often. So think about if you're doing it for your family, like how often do you see them? A year? How many years do you think they have left? And guess what? That's how many opportunities you have. It's a lot less than we think. And that's under the pretense that everything works out fine and they die of natural causes in old age, which, you know, Yvonne, thank you for sharing. Like, it doesn't always happen that way. So that's why having the urgency is so important, because life, your children, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, right? The people around you, they're not just sitting down waiting, okay, we're just gonna chill until you figure it out. Life is moving for them too, okay? So what? Right? What is winning? Impressing the future version of you, okay? So how to win? Now, it's super simple, right? I promise you it's simple. You know, when I do these seminars and trainings for people, it's so funny, right? One person goes up in front of the room, they're more the cosmic, esoteric, like, think of all the things you're grateful for. And like, you're like, write 5 things you're grateful for down right now. And notice sometimes that's a struggle, right? Like, oh shit, what am I grateful for? What can I think of, right? But imagine if I were to ask you, what's 5 things that you're unhappy with your life right now? Which one is easier to write? Which list?
The negative.
The negative, right? Because why? Your brain was wired to help you to survive, to live another day. It was not designed to support you to thrive and live for today. Does that make sense? But that is your gift. Because what stops people is people tend to be negative. They look at the problems. They're like, this is why I can't succeed. This is why I can't do that, right? Blah, 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 blah. So when I ask people, like, you know, most people don't succeed because they don't know how to win, how to succeed. And I tell them, I promise you know how. You're like, how? Okay? Very, very simple, okay? Albert Einstein, how he solved most of his problems, he created this theory called inversion, always invert, right? And what does that mean? If I were to ask you, what are all the things that if you were to do would guarantee your failure in Riman, what would it be? So let's talk about it, right? What's some of the things that will guarantee that you'll fail in Riman?
Stop trying.
Stop trying, not talk to people,
Not throw spa parties.
okay, not throw parties, okay, what else?
Quitting the business.
Quitting the business, yeah.
Not
Quitting on yourself, okay? What else?
Focusing on negative.
Right? Focus on the negative, right? Complaining, being transactional versus relational, right? Because some of you guys are like very philosophical, right? Not being organized, right? So we make this list, yes? Well, remember how I told you if you get what you don't want, you also get what? What you do want. So if you could just make a list of all the ways you're guaranteed to fail, and you invert that, what do you get? All the ways you're guaranteed to succeed. It works in marriage. So what's the way you can guarantee your marriage will fail? No intimacy, no communication, yada, 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 right? So guess what? If you want your marriage to succeed, what do? You invert that. Now you have the answer. Does that make any sense? Okay. Another one, right? What is another way to guarantee that you'll fail in Riman? Not being confident, right? Can we agree? Not following up. So when you make that list, guess what? You do the opposite, and what happens? You already have the game plan on how to succeed. Now, easier said than done, right? So let me go a step further. This is, since you guys are mostly, almost all senior managers, communication is very important, right? Especially when you're leading people. I talk to people differently, depending on where they're at. The more skills someone has, the more simple command you can give somebody and they'll understand. The less experience someone has, the more detailed you need to be. The challenge is, you know, some of us have been in the industry for so long that a lot of this stuff is second nature and we know it, but we forget what it's like for a brand new person. And we talk to them as if they have the same experience that we've had. They've been in as long as we have, right? So for example, and so what happens is in language, you tend to get lazy and we tend to group up a bunch of, we tend to simplify a bunch of things into one word, okay? And what happens is, for example, if someone's like, you know, let's talk about sales, right? If you're really good at sales, right? Let's say you're successful in network marketing. I go, hey, we're meeting this big prospect. I need you to be extra confident and have your posture solid today. Someone that has experience, I've been doing this for a long time, has made money, they'll be like, got it. If someone's brand new, I'm like, hey, you gotta be extra confident today, you gotta have posture, okay, strong posture. They'll be like, got it. And then we're like, what the fuck does that mean? Right? Because if you don't feel like you're a confident person, you're like, how do I do that? But confidence is just a summary of a bunch of little steps that, if you summarize it, is confident, right? What makes someone confident? Looking at someone in their eyes, smiling when you're talking to them, shaking their hand, remembering their name, right? So now, if someone's brand new and said, hey, when you go to this meeting, I need you to be confident today. I say, hey, when you go to this meeting today, there's very important people. Make sure when you shake their hand, you shake their hand with a firm handshake. When you're talking to them, make sure you make eye contact, smile, and also remember their names and repeat it back to them in conversation. Can you agree with me? If someone does all that to someone else, like, wow, that person's confident. That person's charismatic. So I share that to remind you that as you communicate with your team, based on the level of experience they have, you might need to go more detail. Does that make sense? Because the problem is sometimes we get frustrated, and this is why I teach people that manage and lead people. Sometimes we get frustrated at our people, but it's not their fault. It's your fault. It's your responsibility because you didn't give them enough information on how to do it. Does that make sense? If I tell somebody, hey, like, if I tell one of my team leaders, hey, you gotta close more sales this month. Your volume's down. You gotta get your volume up. They'll understand, okay, how many managers do I need to promote? How many people do I need to talk to? X, Y, Z. If I talk to someone that's brand new, that's maybe a planner, hey, you gotta get your volume up this month. They're like, got it. What does that fucking even mean, right? You get what I'm saying? So you have to be specific and detailed with your communication, especially as a leader. You cannot be lazy with language, okay? So again, inverting, right? Inverting means, not confident, being confident, right? And so, and then what you do is something called operationalization. You break down what guarantees success into steps, like a checklist. Being organized, what does that mean? Having Excel spreadsheets, whatever it is for you. Does that make sense? And so now when you're coaching people, depending on where they're at, you can break it down to them as well. Does that make sense? So be confident. What does that look like? Steps, X, Y, Z. Is that making sense? Okay, so that's how to do it. Invert, okay, and then operationalization, we just break it down to simpler steps. Okay, Dr. Marlisa, I'm pretty sure with all of her other doctor friends, right? If someone asks her what's going on, she can just mention a couple words like, okay, got it. But someone that's brand new, that's sitting there and she's reading their sheet, she's not going to explain the sheet to to a patient the same way she would do another doctor, right? I'm just making this up. Hopefully it's kind of makes sense, right? But does that make sense? Her doctor friends have experience. She's talking to them in a different language than she would to a patient explaining the same thing. So it's kind of the same thing with your business. Does that make sense? So understand that as leaders. Sometimes, again, you're going to forget, right? I'm like, man, I take responsibility all the time. I was like, you know what? I didn't explain it well enough to you. And as leaders, that's very important, right? If you want to be a leader that's respected, anytime something goes right in the business, you want to give them as much celebration, as much credit as possible. If something goes right, you did it. If something doesn't work out well or there are mistakes being made, take responsibility. Hey, you know what? Like, it didn't work out. I should have explained it. I should have went in more detail. I could have explained it better. And when they see that as a leader, you taking responsibility, one, it's already trained them on how to be a leader later. Does that make sense? And responsibility is the greatest form of maturity, right? So there's that, okay? So we went over what winning is, how to win, why to win, right? So why to win? The biggest motivation is psychological, and a lot of it comes from deprivation, right? This says it's the unmet need that motivates. So a lot of you shared your why. It's the unmet need, right? Your why is what hurts you, right? The pains you're feeling in your life, but also what heals you, right? Your why is, if I get this, it will heal my current situation. Okay, so that's your motivation. The bigger the gap, the bigger the motivation. And I'll give you an example. Who do you think is more motivated, right? Someone that is making $5,000 a month that's shooting for $10,000, whose goal is $10,000, or someone that's at $20,000 a month and their goal is $100,000. Who do you think is more motivated?
100,000. The 100,000. What should be 400,000?
The 5 trying to get to 10, or the 20 trying to get to 100?
20 to get to 100.
Right, so 20 to get to 100 because the gap's so big, right? The person at 5 trying to get to 10, they're already halfway there. Does that make sense? Okay, so the bigger the gap, the bigger the motivation. It has to hurt, right? And again, until the fear of staying the same is greater than the fear of change, will never change. The problem is most of us have problems and challenges that are big enough for us to complain about it, but they're not big enough that it hurts us enough where we're like, I can't stand this anymore, I have to change it. And for some people, that's where you got to get to the point where your back's against the corner, you're like, enough is enough, that's it, no more. It ends right here. Like, that's where you got to get to. Does that make sense? So I know when I share that, people go, then how come the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Because isn't it poor people have a bigger gap than the rich people? Well, that leads us to our second part, right? And the first part, the first condition of winning, your why is psychological. The second one is actually circumstances and environment. Your environment is so important. You know what is if you had this one thing it will give you the biggest advantage of becoming wealthy. Now, I'm not saying happy and fulfilled. That's different, right? But wealthy. Do you know what that is? If you had this one thing, you would have a higher chance of becoming wealthy than anybody else.
In your environment? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, one thing.
It doesn't have to do with mindset.
Yeah, but that's part of it. That's part of it.
Big desire.
But it affects the mindset.
Support.
Gotta be desire.
Part of it.
Gotta be desire.
All right, I'm gonna tell you guys, okay? It's a zip code that you're born into. That's why the rich get richer. Your environment, yeah, that's why the rich get richer, the poor get poor.
Oh.
Because it's who do you compare yourself to? What is your environment? Your environment shows you what's possible and helps you set the standard. Think about it, if you grow up in a bad neighborhood, right? Chances are your goal is simply to get out or simply to survive. And what happens is you start comparing yourself to everybody else. Hey, I'm surviving better than this person, I'm doing good, right? Now, if you're born into a wealthy zip code, think about it. You're growing up in $1 million mansions. Your whole belief level is possible because everybody you know has mansions. So if someone says, hey, you know, do you want to, your belief that you can get a mansion is high because that's all you've been exposed to. Your neighbors have Lambos, the neighbors have Rolls Royces, right? Your parents do businesses or investors, so your mindset's different. Does that make sense? Your environment is so important. So why do I share that with you? You want to make sure you create an environment that's set up for you to win. So what does that mean? Certain people that are negative, right? You might require separation. Now, am I telling you to leave your husband? No. What I'm saying is you have to know how far you can go with certain people, right? I used to be extreme, and I'm like, oh, my party friends, I'm not going to hang out with them because they're not successful, blah, blah, blah. No, I go, my party friends are my friends that I go party with. They're not my friends I talk business with. Does that make sense? So it's like putting people in the right environments. You don't have to cut people off. Just put people in environments where you don't resent them. That's my biggest thing that I've learned, right? Because sometimes I care about people, I want them to be with me, and I'm like, this is not the right environment for you, and I end up getting mad at them, they get mad at me, and it's just bad, right? And I'm saying, but your environment is so important. That's why if you're around an environment that's always negative, it's hard to believe, it's always hard to have that energy, so create it, you know? And what I often tell people, like, you know, vision board, test driving the car, all that stuff's great, but you know what found really effective? Next time you have some free time, whatever it is, and you want to get some work done, go to the nicest hotel in San Francisco. Don't book a night there. That's not what I'm saying, right? Go to the nicest hotel because usually they have a lobby. They have a cafe. Dress nice. Go in there. Work out of the cafe. Buy coffee and sit there. And you know what you're going to notice? You're going to start watching all the people start going in and out, the things they're wearing, things they're carrying, all the cars that pull up, right, to be valeted and stuff like that. And just because you're now in an environment where like something like a Lambo or a Rolls Royce might seem out of reach, all of a sudden you see it in abundance. You're like, wow, like, let me tell you something. They don't make nice things to tease you. They make nice things because people can afford it. Does that make sense? So no, people are affording it, people are buying it, and it's possible for you to do it. So that's why, okay? Last but not least, okay? Well, not last but not least, when to win. And this part's gonna fry your brain. You ready? The best time to win, the best time to go all in, the best time to do something is when you're the busiest. It's when you have the most on your plate. And I share that because it's kind of arrogant for people to say, "Oh, I'll do it when I have more time. I'll do it when I'm not as busy." Because that's like you saying, all the things are gonna disappear. You're gonna have all this time later, and you know better than God. Like you don't, right? You don't know. But here's the problem with that. If you wait until you have free time and things are easier to do something, what's gonna happen when it gets difficult again? You're gonna let it fall apart. You're gonna quit. Think back in COVID, right? The people that were not in shape, all of a sudden they had so much free time because they weren't going to work, they're staying home. They're like, I'm gonna start going to the gym. And what happened? They got shredded, they got in the best shape of their life because they had all this free time that they never had before. And then guess what happened? COVID ended, they had to go back to work. And you know what happened to those people?
They're back to where
They gained that weight back because they got busy again. But all the people that took their health seriously before COVID, that were like, fuck, I'm so tired going to the gym in the morning for work. I'm so tired going to the gym at night. You know what happened to them? Them having having free time because they already built the habits and the disciplines of eating right, of working out, the discipline, and they had more time. They got even better results. And when they had to go back to their job, they might have lost a little bit because they put in so much work, they're able to maintain it. So I tell people the best time to do shit is when you're busy. The best time to do shit is when it's hard. Because you know why? Because when things get easy and when you have more time, you're gonna have that much more results, but you train yourself on how to operate under those circumstances. And that's why most people don't succeed is they always think they're gonna have time later. And time is not guaranteed. So who do you need to be? The highest version, the most successful version of you. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you stand for, you can fall for anything, right? So I'll share you how I make my decisions. And like, I talk about this, but like, it's kind of silly, kind of funny, but growing up, there's only two things I really wanted to be. I wanted to be a husband, I wanted to be a father. Because I saw my parents' relationship, I was very blessed. My parents love each other, they have a great relationship. My dad was a great father, so that was what I wanted. And so how I make decisions, because sometimes the decisions you want to make emotionally are not the decisions you make logically. Can we agree? This is how I make decisions. I make decisions like this. Who would I want my daughter to marry? If my daughter married a man that made the same decision I made, would I be proud? Would I be supportive, accepting, or would I be disappointed, and would I be against it? Does that make sense? And also, to be the man I want my son to be. My son was in the same situation. How would I want him to handle it? What decision would I want him to make? And that's kind of how I live my life. And let me tell you something. A lot of times it's very hard because that's not what I want to do. Sometimes in life, I feel like it'd be a lot better if I just punch someone in the throat, you know what I mean? But I don't, because that's not what I want my son to do, and that's not what I want my, yeah. So make decisions based on the future you, not the current you. Does that make sense? Just that alone in life will get you so far, right? It's like act as if, right? I like act as if more than fake it till you make it, because fake it till you make it means like you're pretending. Acting as if is a little bit different. It means you're stepping into those shoes before, as a preview, right? Ahead of time. Imagine like this, like, how some people say, like, at the end of the day, I wish I could go back in time to get a second chance, right? Well, just imagine you just traveled back in time to you now, and this is your second chance. How would you treat it? And like I said, it's all about perspective, right? How you look at things determines how you treat things and how you operate. So that's like the training that I have for you guys today based on the conversation we had. So hopefully it was valuable. I know it was a lot, but I want to hear from some of you guys. Like, what did you guys take from this? Like, just one thing that you got from this whole talk that was valuable for you that you're going to run with.
The inversion. Because I think I'm still stuck right now. And so, like, if I can just invert it all, like, okay, let's just do that then. Versus just kind of like sulking, like, oh my god, this is so hard. The kids are driving me insane. I just want to sit here and watch my K-dramas and see all the cute K-pop idols. Great, like, just complaining like it's so hard. Like, I don't want to talk to people till like, I want to talk to people. I should talk to people.
And hey, you don't even have to want to talk to people, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think about it, like, look at it like, I need to talk to people so I can watch K-drama and do nothing. Like,
That's true.
there's a lot of value to be able to create a life where you could do nothing and be okay.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, like the whys that you had, like that's me. Like, I want to be able to just sit there and be able to afford to do nothing, literally nothing, on the beach or something.
Yeah.
She literally told me that this morning.
Who, Dr. Melissa?
Yeah. At the beach.
What did she say, sorry?
Just like, she's like, why don't I live here? I want to be on the beach. I want to be like, just,
I
yeah.
want a beach property.
I said I worked my ass off my whole life.
Yeah.
A lot of people live at the beach. Why am I not one of them?
Yes. I would love a beach house.
Yeah, why not?